you speak fondly and proudly of your alma mater, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, otherwise FAMU, HBCU located in Tallahassee, Florida. Needless to say, FAMU is steeped in Black excellence, and you speak so proudly of it. But what was your biggest challenge as you transitioned from high school to a large public university, and how did you overcome it?
So I think my biggest, challenge was figuring out who I was and what I wanted to do with my life. And those to me are, I think, challenges that many college students, face. Like, you're still trying to figure out who are you, right? What are your values? What do you, what's your ideology? How do you want to contribute to the world? And then simultaneously, what am I going to do with this life, right? And so it was, as I detail in How to Be an Anti-Racist, there was this long journey. Like, I started out in college thinking that I wanted to be a sports reporter. And the more I interned in sports journalism, the more it kind of got boring, meeting and hanging out with professional athletes. So it's cool at first, right? But then eventually it's like, okay, this got old real quick. And then I started becoming more interested in writing on race, specifically as related to journalism. But there was still something about that wasn't completely what I wanted to do. In other words, I had to receive assignments from an editor when I wanted to write about specific topics, on my own. And what I'm saying about this is I took a journey, and I was willing to change what I wanted to do. I started out in one place, and I was willing to continuously, shift till I found something that was more conducive with who I was thinking that I was becoming, and what I wanted to do with my life. And so, those students who changed their majors 3 times, you should know that most students change their majors 3 times. Right? So there's nothing wrong with you. If anything is wrong with those kids who just come in and pick the same major and stay the whole time. Like, what's going on? They're the actual unicorns. So, going on this journey and shifting and changing and reflecting personally and professionally is exactly what college is all about.
Regardless of size, I can tell you, I picked my major because my advisor said, you need to declare one. And I said, where do I have the most credits? And she said, psychology. I said, well, that's going to be my major. So I agree with you. God knows how many times I changed it, but adjustment, regardless of where you are, is about what I'm hearing from you is explore, go on your journey and you'll figure it out. Thank you. Similar to staying on this theme for our students. So Gen Z or Gen Zers are by far the more racially, ethnically diverse population we've had of any generation, right? With Latinx leading that at about 25%, followed by Black Americans at 14%, Asians 6%. How can new students who are just now joining our diverse university family become anti-racist?
Well, I think it's just incredibly important for students to realize that when you come of age, in order for you to be effective in whatever path you decide to go into, you're going to have to be able to navigate and to relate to and to engage with all different types of people with many different backgrounds, because your generation is so racially diverse. And so what that means is, especially using college to get to know other groups of people. So, if you're a Black student, yes, you came of age in a Black community, you may have a lot to learn about Latinx or Asian folks, right? And you can go to their events to learn, right? To understand, because the more you can relate to folks of other racial groups and ethnic groups and and cultures, the more again you're going to be able to navigate. And to be anti-racist is to view all these racial groups and racialized ethnic groups and racialized cultures as equals. They're different, right? They're different from your upbringing, from your culture, but they're on the same level. So I want to sort of learn that other sort of culture and learn that from and seek to understand it and become more culturally literate. And I just wanted to emphasize it's not just white students that need to become culturally literate. Now, I think it's because white students are more likely than any other group of students to live in a homogenous neighborhood. The average white resident in this country lives in a neighborhood that's 3/4 white. And then once you get to the rural parts, you're talking 80 to 85% white. And so it's even more important for you, right? Especially you want to come to understand and learn these other cultures, but it's also important for Black folks who grew up in segregated neighborhoods too, like their white counterparts, and Latinx folks and Asian folks. It's important for all of us. And if we're not going to take the time in college to do that, then when are we going to have the opportunity to do
that? Yeah, I mean, the last thing we want is getting you into the real world, right, in the workforce, and haven't had that exposure. We're fortunate at the University of Albany. We are a fairly diverse institution, but it goes to say that it's everyone who needs to learn about others. And I know that when I went to undergrad, I never seen so many white faces in my life in one area, coming from Washington Heights in New York City. And to me, that was an eye opener. It was culture shock, but it required me to sort of shift my lenses a bit to better understand those experiences. And so thank you for sharing that insight. And just reflecting on your undergraduate experience, what's your advice for first-year students at UAlbany as they begin their journey?
So I think I have many different forms of advice. I mean, I think first, I would say that it is critically important, obviously, for you to ensure that you're staying up on your studies. But I would also encourage you to join student clubs. I'd also encourage you to enjoy and, party responsibly. Use this time to engage in social justice organizations on campus or even off campus. And especially if you're a student who has the privilege to not work and you have extra time on your hands, you should use that time. Obviously, if you're a student who's working and going to school, it's much more constrained. But I just want to encourage students to really make sure you're taking advantage of the cultural and social life of the campus, and including the academic life. And some students are like, yeah, that's all I've been doing. Okay, now you probably need to do some of the academic life too.
No, I'm glad that you're being honest about that, because people have this impression that first time coming to school, especially first generation, that I'm here to study, and you need balance, right? Life is about balance. And I think it's very important that you explore, take different type of courses, enjoy yourself. Don't be like me as an undergrad, enjoy myself a little too much. You get on academic probation. But again, it's you can rebound from things. And I think that's the only way that you're going to learn.